I'm Steve Johnson, Farm and Ag Business Management Specialist. Let's talk about pre-harvest marketing of new crop. When we take a look at marketing considerations, let's start with making new crop sales using the seasonal prices. New crop corn and soybean futures, that tends to be December corn, November soybean futures, rally usually in the spring and peak by the late spring and early summer months. So we're going to tie crop insurance as a part of this decision as well. Make sure that we've got a good handle on comparing on-farm versus commercial storage. Let's limit the number of bushels that we're going to hold after harvest unpriced. We've seen in recent years how expensive that can be and the additional risk that comes with that. Again, for corn you're paying drying, shrink costs, and likely you're going to receive wider basis for those bushels that are in commercial storage versus bushels that you could deliver to a processor, a feedlot, or a river terminal. And then a new crop marketing plan, I think, reflects your estimated cost of production. So you're keeping good records. You build in a reasonable profit margin annually, and you are reflecting your own cash flow needs. When do you need the money? In many cases, farmers need money by harvest, and crop insurance, fuel, family living cost, second half cash rent. And so pre-harvest marketing, I believe, plays an important role. Let's start with cost of production. Again, what is your cost of production? What's your break-even? What's a reasonable profit? What is the market price offering now as far as cash price? I encourage farmers to use their actual production history. Annually, you get an update of your APH. You work with your crop insurance agent, and that's a part of what you're estimating your yields to be, not trying to outguess the weather or the national planted acres or what the fact will be of how many bushels will I produce on that farm or that field. Every January, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach provides an estimated cost of crop production. And our example that I've listed here that was recently updated is simply corn following soybean rotation, conventional tillage, a low yield, and we use 160 bushel per acre corn, a medium yield of 180 bushel per acre, or a high yield of 200 bushel per acre. So our estimated cost of production is, in this particular example, $3.48 per bushel. Build in a reasonable profit margin, 5 to 10%, and therefore you've got a price expectation of what you're willing to accept for a pre-harvest marketing price. Crop insurance is an important part of a pre-harvest marketing plan. The data from 2017 would indicate that 96% of all of the insured corn acres in Iowa and 96% of the insured soybean acres are using a product deemed revenue protection. And revenue protection has built into it the harvest price, so we're not excluding the harvest price. So let's turn the use of revenue protection crop insurance into a pre-harvest marketing plan. Let's say your actual production history is 180 bushel per acre, and your revenue guarantee for this particular year is 180 times the level of coverage. We're going to elect 80% level of coverage. 80% times 180 is 144 bushel an acre times the projected price. That is the simple average in the month of February for December corn futures. Your revenue guarantee is $570 per acre. Thus, the importance of knowing how crop insurance works. You're guaranteed 144 bushel per acre, but you're reflecting a deductible of roughly 20% of your APH. So we don't want to commit to delivery those 36 bushel per acre. Let's focus on the guarantee of 144 bushel per acre. You could develop a pre-harvest marketing strategy. You could actually commit bushels to delivery. That usually means a cash forward contract, whether that be to an elevator, a co-op, a river terminal, a feedlot, or a processor. And the reason that you can do that is because revenue protection guarantees not only bushels, it guarantees price. It guarantees the higher of the projected price. That's the simple average of December corn in the month of February for that particular year, or the November soybean futures price. And it's the higher of the two. It's the February average projected, or it's the October average, the harvest. So if the price would go up and be reflected in the month of October, you get a higher revenue guarantee. Each year, you work with your crop insurance agent, you subtract your actual production, so you have to turn in your production evidence to your crop insurance agent, and they multiply that times the harvest price. That reflects a loss of revenue and triggers an indemnity payment. Now, I would never encourage a farmer to commit all 144 bushel per acre because there is a slight basis risk, because your indemnity payment will reflect the futures price, not the cash price. And lastly, make sure that you planted the crop. And so prevented planting only pays 55% of the revenue guarantee. So in this example, you'd have to multiply that $570 per acre times that 55% to calculate what you're actually going to get as a result of taking prevented planting. Now, soybeans remains at 60%. So when we look at the fact that I can pre-harvest market using revenue protection crop insurance, what's your comfort level? Let's start with a line that reflects the last 5 years, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, and that actual projected price, that simple average in the month of February for December corn. Let's compare that February average to the October average called harvest, and you notice that 5 of the last 5 years is the projected price was higher than the harvest price. Thus, that's even more evidence. It's that uncertainty of planting the crop that gives us that higher futures price. Now, let's look at the futures prices that were offered between March and September each of those years. Those are those red diamonds. And in each year, the futures prices were even higher than the projected price. Thus, the importance of a pre-harvest marketing plan that includes revenue protection and the ability to pre-harvest market, especially when December corn futures, November soybean futures are above these projected prices that you're going to know in early March. The same way with soybeans. We'll overlay the projected prices, the black line. We'll overlay the harvest prices, the green line. And yeah, there was 1 year that the harvest price was higher, but look at how much higher the high tick for November soybean futures were in each of those 5 years. Thus, trying to time your pre-harvest marketing sales that are reasonable returns, so you're using your own records, your own cost of production, your profit margins, and your cash flow needs to be more aggressive in pre-harvest marketing, especially in the spring and summer months. March, April, May, June, maybe early July. But take advantage of higher futures prices that tend to occur because of the uncertainty of production of both corn and soybeans in the Northern Hemisphere during those 5 months. So what are the key points for this video? Number one, know your cost of production. Do this well in advance of even planting the crop. Build in a reasonable profit margin and cash flow needs. You have 2.5 years before you ever plant the crop because those futures prices are available out there. And then utilize this 6 months, that March to September timeframe, and especially March, April, May, June, and early July. Understand revenue protection. Meet with your crop insurance agent. In a pre-harvest market, for delivery, a portion of your bushels that you plan to produce that year, and especially when the uncertainty occurs for growing corn and soybeans in the Northern Hemisphere. Then utilize the seasonal futures highs, especially when they're above the projected price. In early March, you know the projected price. When futures prices are above the projected price, your guaranteed bushels are guaranteed that projected price. And lastly, have a new crop marketing plan and make sure you have the discipline to implement the plan. Trying to keep unpriced bushels out of commercial storage where you know there's going to be a higher cost structure associated with those, as well as a likely wider basis and higher cost reflecting storage. I'm Steve Johnson, Iowa State University, Extension and Outreach.